Hello, I'm Azina Plain, and today I want to just take you through my little twist on overlay mosaic crochet. So as you can probably see from here, we've actually got three colours we're using there. We're usually, with an overlay mosaic pattern, you will be alternating between colour A and colour B. So you're always just using one colour at a time to that, and then you will be using your trebles, which you'll drop down a couple of rows below to create the pattern. Well, on this one we're doing it slightly differently because we're alternating, or not alternating, we're cycling between the three colours. So colour 1 here, colour 2, colour 3. So we've got, as you can see, they're all in order. If you check at the end, this will show you the end stitches here, same on the chart. They show you the colour you're using for the whole row. So you're just cycling between the three colours, and that will then say create this pattern here. So we're just using slightly longer stitches. So instead of what a lot of people will call a mosaic treble, or like a treble worked 2 rows below, we're going to be using double trebles and working them 3 rows below to create this pattern. So it's as simple as that, really. So my colour 1 is going to be this lovely light sort of bluey green colour here. Colour 2 is burnt orange. Colour 3 is this sort of dark teal colour. So the idea is to make sure, obviously, that if you can't get the same brand of yarn, make sure that all of the 3 yarns you use are a similar weight, and make sure that you select a hook size that goes with that yarn. So for the majority of what I show you today, I'm going to be using my 4mm hook here, but I tend to do my foundation double crochets or chains a little tighter than usual, so I'm going to be starting with a 4.5mm hook just for that first little row there. So yeah, when you've got all your stuff, oh, and don't forget your pair of scissors, because we will be cutting the yarn at the end of every row, so you're definitely going to need your scissors. Okay, so if you look at the chart, you'll see it says at the top, above the actual chart itself, it tells you that you're going to need to start with a multiple of 24 plus 4 stitches. So the pattern repeat is 24 stitches across, and you'll need 2 stitches on either end as like an edge stitch, just to sort of firm up the edges. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I am just going to do 1 repeat. So we need to start with 28 stitches. So as I said, as my foundation stitches tend to be a little bit tighter, I'm going to start with my 4.5mm hook. And actually, I've kind of gone off the foundation double crochet now. I used to love it, but I've found a little tweak with the chain that works really well to give you an equally neat edge, and I find it a little bit quicker. So I'm just going to run you through that. So we're going to need to start with the 28 chains plus an extra one. When you start with the chain, you're going to need an extra one, just as like a little turning chain at the end. So I'm going to start by chaining 29 chains. So when I start, you start normally with a slip knot on your hook, and how I do that, if you see, I just wrap the yarn around like so. So I've got the loose end at the bottom, and the one that's attached to the ball here. Pick that loop up and pull it through. Now, to make an actual slip knot, I would pull that tight, but to avoid that sort of bump you then get on the end, I'm going to leave that loose. So we'll just leave it like that, and that is now our first chain. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 26, 27, 28, and then 29 for that turning chain. So I'm now going to get rid of my 4.5mm hook, put that to one side. I'm now going to be using my 4mm hook, which is the one recommended for the yarn, for the rest of the square. So pop that back in there, and then what you do, remember this first chain here is a turning chain, so we're not working into that. And what I found to give you a nice neat edge, rather than working into this chain here as you normally would, you just twist it round. See this little bump on the back? There we go, and we'll be working our double crochet into there. So there's our first one, and again, so just carry along the chain, working your double crochet into those little bumps. So insert the hook into the bump, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Okay, so just carry along doing our double crochets there till we get to the end. So I'm now nearly at the end of my first row there, so I've been working in those back bumps of the chain all the way along. Now I just want to check, you need to check now that you've got the right number of stitches. So if we start, so you can see at the beginning, this is the first one here, so we're just going to count. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 26, and I've just got 2 more left to do there. So as with all mosaic crochet, the most important thing is to keep counting. Make sure you've always got, with overlay mosaic, whether you're using the normal 2 colour version or this 3 colour, you will always have the same number of stitches on every row. So you know when you get to the end, you should always, if you're doing my little swatch here, you'd always have your 28 stitches. Right, so I'm just going to now show you the last 2. So again, stitch 27 goes into that last bump, and when we now get to the end, the reason for leaving this nice and loose is so we can work into that to finish it off. So I'm just going to work double crochet like so, and now we can tighten up our slip knot, so it gives you a nice neat edge without that extra little bump from the slip knot. Right, so now we can fasten off. So just trim that, pull that through there. So there we've just done our row 1. So I can't show you a printed copy of the chart, I'm afraid, because my printer has decided to give up the ghost. So, but if you've printed it yourself, you'll be able to see that this is just that first row, row 1 we've now completed. So we're now going to pick up colour 2. So you always know, if you get lost, remember that you're cycling through the 3 colours, and the chart, the symbols at each end of the chart will always be in the colour that you're using for that row. So colour 2 here is what we're going to be using next. As I say, look at the edges. You'll also notice at the edges that the symbols are really important. You kind of ignore the colours when you're reading across each row, but the symbols are very important. So at the each end of every row, you'll notice on my chart there's a little sort of, I don't know what you call that, kind of a little upside down V, and that's a symbol that I use to show you it's an ordinary double crochet, so you're working through both loops as you normally would. Anything on the chart with no symbol at all in it is still a double crochet, but you'll only be working into the back loops, which I will show you in a second. But if you just look along row 2 now, you'll see that the only symbols on that whole of the row are the 2 little sort of upside down V shapes at each end. So you know we've got to work 2 standard double crochet, then your 24 or multiple of 24 if you're doing something wider, back loop double crochets, and then your 2 standard at the end. Right, so I'm now picking up my colour 2. I'm going to start here with a standing stitch. It's the easiest way. You can start with a sort of a slip stitch and a chain, but then some people do find that a little bit confusing and can end up getting lost about where you start. If you can try to do a standing double crochet, it will help you keep your piece sort of squarer. So to do that, we start with a slip knot, the same as I did for the chain. So wrap it around like so, pick it up, pull through, but this time I'm going to pull it tight. So there it is, there's your slip knot. I don't know if that's the correct way of doing it, but it works for me, so that's what I do. So we're going to now start by inserting that in our first stitch. So it's a normal double crochet, so you'll just work into the 2 loops there, through and through. So now for most of the row, as you'll see, so there's no symbol on the chart, so that tells you it's a back loop double crochet. So instead of working under both of those loops like we did there, I'm going to actually just go there, so you've just got the 1 loop on your hook. Okay. Now if you've done back loop double crochets in other patterns, sometimes people tell you to work into like this 3rd loop, if you can see there. So that's your sort of back loop, and then there's this other one behind. You can insert your hook there, but to be honest, it's totally unnecessary when it comes to mosaic crochet, because you've still only got the 1 loop at the front, so any stitches that pull, the front loop will be pulling, so and so there's no point. So it's a lot quicker to just go into the back loop. So there we go, back loop, round and through. So just carry along your row, working double crochets into that back loop only. You see there the little line there that's showing you there's the front loops that we need to leave free because we're going to use them to create our pattern later. So yeah, just carry on along the row, until you get to those last 2 stitches. So I'll meet you at the end. So I'm now at the end of row 2, just got these last 2 stitches to do. So as you can see, we had the 2 standard double crochet there. I've now done 24 back loop double crochets, and I just need to finish off there with the 2 standard double crochets at the end. So through both loops once, twice, and then as before, cut that off, drop that yarn, pull that through to secure it. So you can see we've now got, effectively each end looks the same, but you've got your knot on each end, so nothing's going to come undone. So now we're going to pick up our colour 3 and start again. So again, slip knot on the hook, however you want to make that, and then a standard double crochet through both loops, there and there. And if you check the chart again now, you'll see there's still no other symbols on the row apart from these 2 standard double crochets at each end. So just as we did before, we're now going to go all the way along, working our double crochets into the back loop only, like so. So you carry along and do that, and I will meet you at those last 2 stitches again. So here we are again. I've just done my back loop double crochets across those 24 stitches, and just do these same as they'll be at every end, 2 standard double crochets in those last 2 stitches. Cut the yarn and make sure you pull it through there, and that will fasten it off nice and securely. Okay, so we've done our 3 rows there of the 3 different colours, and we're now going to go back to our colour 1. So start there as always with your slip knot on your hook and a standing double crochet and another one through both loops. And now if you check the chart now, you'll see that actually most of the chart is still showing you the back loop double crochets, but when you get to the end of the chart, the last few characters, there's a special character there that's like 2 sort of lowercase f's. So if you just want to make now 18 back loop double crochets, so as always into the back loop like so. So 18 of those. In fact, we'll do them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 15, 16, 17, 18. So I should now have, because I've only done 1 repeat, right, there we are, I've got 6 stitches left before my edge stitches. Obviously if you've done it wider you'll have more, but say after 18 stitches we're now going to do our first front loop double treble 3 rows down. So usually if you're doing standard overlay mosaic and you're only using 2 colours, what you would now do is you would now work a treble 2 rows below. So rather than this row that we've been working in before, you would do a treble into that loop. But we wanted to sort of finish it off and give the same effect as you would with the other. We actually need to work 3 rows further down. So if we did a standard treble in that would pull your work in a bit. So we need to make a longer stitch, which is why it's going to be a double treble. So for a double treble, you wrap it twice around the hook. We still need to work down, so hold it nice and flat. That might be useful for you if you haven't done it before. I'll just grab a needle just to mark where you need to go, so you know. If you look there, you can see directly below is this loop. So that, I'll show you that stitch again. So for a double crochet, it's around the hook twice, and then we can go into there. So once we've gone in there, we'll take that out. So it's just to make sure that you're keeping your stitch nice and straight. So yarn over, through 2, yarn over, through 2, and again. So just like good treble, except you've got the extra sort of little repeat of the yarn over, pull through 2. So we're going to do, you've got 2 of those together. So like I say, it's the little, I've got the 2 F's there because it's a double treble. So round twice, insert, there we go, that's that first front loop, insert that into that one, through, round and through 2, round and through 2. So we've got our front loop, double trebles, 3 down. So now we just need to do 2 more back loop double crochet. So just make sure that you're missing these 2 stitches behind. So that one and that one, make sure you don't work into there. You now need to go for your back loop double crochet in the next stitch, and again, and then we've got 2 more front loop double crochets, 3 down. So round twice, make sure you've missed the 2 front there, and work in. Okay, so that's that. So we've now done our first little bit of the actual overlay pattern, and as always we end when you get to the end of your row. If you've done a wider swatch than I have, then you just keep repeating this with the 18 double crochets into the back loops, then the 2 front loop double trebles 3 rows down, 2 back loop double crochets, 2 front loop trebles 3 down. Keep repeating that, those 24 stitches, until you get to the last 2, when as always we're going to do a standard double crochet into each of those, and then also as always when we get to the end of the row, cut it off, pull it through. So that's our first pattern row done. So now we can pick up our colour, if I can pick it up, colour 2 again, start slip knot, and standing double crochet, and then a normal double crochet there. And now if you check the chart, you notice that we're actually going to do the same sort of thing, but we're bringing it this way another 6 stitches. So rather than 18 back loop double crochet, we're just going to need 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 12. To make sure we've counted right, you can just see there we've got 6 stitches before we get to the first of the front loop double crochets there, double trebles there. So we're now going to do the same as we did before. Again, watch down so you can see that's the loop we need to now work into. So twice around the hook and insert it there, and again make sure you miss those 2 stitches behind, 2 back loop double crochets and 2 more front loop double trebles, which I've just done into the wrong thing. So that shows you how easy it is to do that. So just double check that you've got your 1, 2 front loops you're missing, and twice. There we go, that's the one I should have worked into, like so, and again. Oops, so need a bit more yarn off there. So if you want to just now carry along, say repeating, so they'll still be, we had our 12 back loop double crochets, we've now got 2 front loop double trebles, 2 back loop double crochets, 2 front loop double trebles, and then we're going to work to get to the end of our repeat. We've got to still work the 6 back loop double crochets above our stitches there, so we'll just do that to get to the end. So if you're carrying on and doing a much wider piece, then you will always have basically your 18 back loop double crochets between your little sets of the front loop double trebles. So again, ending with 1, 2, okay, like so. Right, so we're now going to do, or cut that off, start again, and it's going to be basically the same idea, but this time we're just going to have the 6 back loop double crochets before we do our little pattern group in our colour 3. So I will see you after you've done the next row. So there we are. So I have now completed row 6, and you can see we're now getting our little like blocks building up there, and it looks quite effective, doesn't it? And you wouldn't think that it was you're just using one colour at a time, and it's really simple basic stitches. So we've now done all that, and you can see if you're losing track of where you are, the next colour to use is going to be back to our colour 1 again. So as always, start with that standing treble, and you see we now need to actually, we've got the 6 stitches here, so we're actually going to start this row, and I'll just go through them with you one more time there. Start this row with our sort of our double trebles. So you've got your 2 standard double crochets in the end, and then straight away we're going to go into a double treble 3 rows below. And you see what you can do where that sort of pulls up to try and help you keep your stitches a nice even length. If you actually stick your thumb just on there, that holds that loop down. It just helps to stop you pulling that too tightly. So wrap the yarn around twice, insert, and then say just hold that edge of that there like so, and then 1, 2, 3. So again, making sure we miss the two stitches behind, 2 back loop double crochets and 2 double trebles 3 rows down. So then it's a case, you'll have your 18 back loop double crochets, which for me will take me to the end of my row, but if not, you'll then start after 18, you'll start again with your big stitches there. So if you want to carry on, do that, finish row 7. Actually, we'll probably just do a few more rows. So if you just want to do up to row 9, so finish row 7, do 8 and 9 on your own, and then I will meet you when we're back to use colour 1 again. So yeah, do the next 2 rows a little bit early, just to point out that actually, if you know, look, we're now going to be using our colour 2, but we're effectively doing exactly the same as we did with our colour 1 on row 4. So it'll be your 18 back loop double crochets, and then what we're now going to do is put our block on top of this one. So it's 18 back loop double crochets, and then exactly the same as we did here to just go above. So again, yeah, do this row and the next one, and I will see you when you're ready to start row 10. Alright, so here we are. So I've just completed row 9. Hopefully you found the last couple of rows a little bit easier than the first few, because the counting is a lot easier. Because if you probably notice, if you see your front loop double trebles are always lined up against the block below, so it's nice and easy to see where you need to put them, none of that sort of fiddly counting bit there. Right, so that's basically the technique and the pattern set up. So one complete repeat upwards is like, again, going to be, we've got the 3 colours going there, we'll have the 3 up there. So if you want to carry on following the pattern as we've done before, so you've always got blocks of 18 back loop double crochets between your little sort of coloured blocks where you've got the front loop double trebles. So whether, if you're doing it a lot, if you're doing a wider version, then in the middle there will be 18 each time. Because I'm only doing 1 repeat wide, sometimes I've got like here 12 and 6, or it might be sort of 6 and 12 or 18 in a run, but there will always be basically 18 back loop double crochets and then your little group with your 6 with your pattern. So if you carry on following the chart until row 15, and I will see you there. Okay, so I've now completed row 14, and you can carry on, you can just carry on repeating this pattern as much as you want. So But what I'd like, if you look, we have these kind of little windows which show the stripes of the background colour, so it gives some nice texture and also some extra colour. But there is another option that we can do. So at the moment we've just been using the 2 stitch, well 3 including the standard double crochets on the end, but basically we've just been using back loop double crochets and front loop double trebles 3 rows down. If you actually combine these stitches with your standard sort of mosaic treble, so the treble that goes 2 rows down, we can actually fill in these boxes in the middle, so they're other like single colour boxes rather than stripes. So on the chart I've actually shown you, you'll notice there's an extra symbol gets added every row from row 15 onwards, and that is my standard capital F, which I use in my normal overlay mosaic charts. As I've mentioned to people before, I don't actually use the X that most designers will use, because I do use both types of mosaic crochet. So overlay and inset mosaic use trebles to create the pattern, but they use them in different ways. So to avoid the confusion from just putting an X and not knowing what you're meant to do with it, that's why I decided on the F for the front loop treble and a double F, a double little f there, the lowercase, for the front loop double trebles 3 rows down. So as I said, on row 15, if you check the chart, you'll notice towards the end there are 2 capital F's. So if we now run through that row together, I will show you how you can basically start to fill in some of these. So as before, we start with our standing double crochet and another normal double crochet. And so if you check the chart, you will see we start off, because we've got to start our new block here, with 2 double trebles, 3 down. So this is just as we've been doing for this pattern all the way along. And then, as always, 2 back loop double crochets, 2 front loop double trebles. Now up to now, what we would have now done is done 18 back loop double crochets. But say if you check the chart, you'll notice that we actually want to do 14 back loop double crochets, because then we get that symbol for the front loop treble 2 down. So we'll do 14 double crochets. So do them together. 2, 3, 4, 12, 13, 14. So what we're now going to do is we're not going to work the double treble 3 down into the same colour here. We're going to actually do a standard mosaic treble or a treble 2 down into this stitch. So just a standard treble there, like so. Okay, so then we'll just complete our row as usual. So 2 back loop double crochets and 2 ordinary double crochets. Okay, so those stitches there look a little bit stranded at the moment, but when we now come and do our next row, they will get enclosed. So we'll just chop that one off. Bounce it off. Okay, so on row 16, we're not only going to put the little box around here as we would have done before, equivalent to this up there. We also now need to do the little middle bit that will go above here. So hopefully all will become clear when we now do it. So again, we'll start as usual with our standing double crochet into that first stitch and another normal double crochet. So if you check the chart, if you count across, you'll see you've now got to do 14 back loop double crochets. So like we did before, there's 14 between the sections now. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, 13, 14. So then we come across our capital F, so remember that means an ordinary treble, 2 rows down, and another one, and then we've got 2 back loop double crochets. If you now look, we've now got 2 front loop double trebles, so around there twice, front loop trebles, 2 down. Okay, then 2 double crochets into the back loops, 2 front loop double trebles, and just finish off the row with 2 normal double crochets through both loops. Alright, so there you can see we've now combined our standard sort of mosaic trebles, the treble 2 down, and we've also then encapsulated it in our new technique here, which is the double trebles 3 rows down, so that just like fills in the middle there. And so be doing the same again. So the next repeat, just carry on through to complete the chart, and I will see you, I shall see you when you've done row 19. So once you've done row 19, I'll meet you there to do row 20 together. Right, so I have just now done row 19. So you can see, just see the difference there where we've filled in the little squares in the middle here. So it's entirely up to you. It's just to show you that you can mix the two methods together and do all kinds of pretty things. So basically, to complete the repeat, we need to do another 2 lots of blocks up here. So that will take us up to row 27. So yeah, you just carry on with that, and I'll see you there. Okay, so I've now finished my little square, just done row 27, and it actually is square, mine is anyway. It's because we've got 28 stitches, 27 rows, and it comes out for me 16 centimeters each direction. So really, I mean, it's up to you what you do now. You can just trim off the edges to make a nice fringe. If you want a border around it, I have got a separate video for just a simple envelope border, which you can use. I'll put the link to that in the comments on the video. Yeah, if you want to make it bigger, you can just basically now repeat rows 4 to 27 until you get the size you want. And again, to make it wider, remember that you'd need to start with a multiple of 24 stitches plus 4 stitches for the ends here. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed my 3 colour overlay technique, and so I've got a couple of other patterns that do something a little bit more complicated with that technique if you want to look at that. Take care.